Visiting a farm is a great way to remember just how clean and beautiful our planet once was, and hopefully can be again. It's also a great way to open today's episode of The Green Lane. Have you ever heard stories about people who have bought a gadget or maybe modified their own vehicle in some way, and they wound up getting 20, 30, 50% increase in fuel economy? How about the inventor who modified the vehicle with some elaborate carburetor and got over 100 miles per gallon? Or even one that slipped through the factory that way? Well, back in 1936, inventor Charles Nelson Pogue came up with a fuel delivery system that got over 200 miles per gallon on a 1935 Ford. Now, this was witnessed by experts at the time. Back in 1979, Tom Ogle was able to take a 70 Ford Galaxy over 100 miles per gallon. Now, whether these stories are true or not, a bigger question is, can it be done on today's computerized vehicles? Well, today on The Green Lane, we're going to explore some of the history of what people have done, some advertisements, some claims, and we're going to see if it actually works on a real modern car. So you stay tuned to The Green Lane because this is going to get good. If necessity is the mother of invention, then much credit must go to farmers from about the 1920s on up for fueling much field research for improved fuel efficiency. When gasoline was expensive and scarce, farmers learned how to squeeze more from the homestead workhorse, the tractor. Many farmers would take the successful tricks learned on the plow driver and apply them to the old farm truck. One trick to reduce fuel costs was to convert the tractor to run on cheaper kerosene. This 1928 Holley carburetor patent shows one of several methods of doing this. Ford even introduced a tractor that would run on kerosene right from the factory. Remember, this was before diesel engines were common. Another cost-cutting measure was to turn farm byproducts into alcohol that could be added to the gasoline. This would get more field plowed per dollar spent. Over the years, many products have emerged claiming better fuel economy. This ignition spark intensifier claims 150 miles per gallon. Another ad for a manual spark timing adjuster promises 100% engine efficiency. Many ads featured innovative products with more modest claims. Most of them probably did work, up to a point. More recently, a 2008 ad for the Hydro Assist fuel cell claimed 121 miles per gallon from the mid-size Mazda shown. Auto manufacturers weren't above exorbitant claims either. An Austin Healey Sprite supposedly delivered 56.5 miles per gallon. A German three-wheeled vehicle, the Messerschmitt, claimed 100 miles per gallon. Prince advertised up to 50 miles per gallon. Did these cars get such great mileage, or were these numbers exaggerated? In a 1977 ad for the Honda CVCC, 41 miles per gallon city and 54 highway was claimed. Yet for 2016, similarly sized Honda Fit is only rated at 33 city and 41 miles per gallon highway. A 1980 Ford ad claims 19 city and 29 miles per gallon highway for the full-sized F-150 pickup. The latest offering, the new F-150 EcoBoost, delivers 19 city and 26 highway. Over the last century, testing methods and standards have evolved. It makes you wonder, if a Messerschmitt were tested using today's standards, would it still get 100 miles per gallon? If a new Honda Fit was tested using 1974 standards, would it eclipse the 54 miles per gallon of the CVCC? In addition to ads for fuel-saving products, companies would sell books that shared the secrets so you could build it yourself. Many inventors would allegedly come up with something utterly spectacular. Instead of selling a patent to the oil companies or even marketing a product, they would write a book on what they discovered. Often, a single company would sell books from several authors. Other companies, like the United Community Services of America, or UCSA for short, would create a clearinghouse of products featuring astounding technologies from many inventors. One of the most prolific books was a trilogy of Secrets of the 200 Mile Per Gallon Carburetor by Alan Wallace. Allen's books featured some of his own inventions, like the puddle carb, plus numerous others from the great minds of Pogue, Ogle, Ney, Baldwin, and others. They were more of a showcase than a how-to. Other authors, like George Weissman, published books with drawings, bill of materials, and specifications. Ray Covey published a book on his vapor carburetor system. Someone calling himself Ambassador Jackson wrote the Gasoline Crisis Answer, which was designed to increase awareness, not necessarily show the reader how to. Bruce McCausland's High Mileage Seminar Workbook was mostly a compilation of patents, with a few projects sketched out at the end. Father and son team Lauren and Kelly Naylor produced a book to share their staged vapor carburetor system. In addition to vapor carburetors, books were written about onboard hydrogen generators, such as Hyzor technology. The concept is to electrolyze water into hydrogen and oxygen to improve combustion. Some books were crude, hand-drawn, stapled-together photocopies like Jim Woodward's Dial-A-Mile, while others were elaborately done with color photos, like Larry Wagner's The Elusive High-Mileage Carburetor. Some books were on generic fuel economy concepts, like the Ultimate Fuel Economy book, while others dealt with specific approaches like head porting for performance and economy. With the advent of the modern onboard computer, books emerged to teach the reader how to recalibrate the factory software to appreciate much greater gains from the added hardware. Books like the Electronic Fuel Injection Enhancer Manual and Electronics for Performance and Economy are just two examples. Whereas most books could be had for $5 to $30, some authors charged much more, but delivered more as well. Alan Caggiano sold his complete process for over $100, but it included layman's how-to, a copy of his patent, as well as numerous CAD drawings that any machine shop would be able to convert to a finished product. While on the subject of patents, a simple search will turn up thousands of super fuel-efficient patents, many owned by familiar names. Here is a 1980 patent owned by Ford Motor Company, another 1975 patent owned by General Motors. As you swim through the sea of high fuel economy patents, you'll be hit with an occasional surprise, like this 1975 patent owned by General Electric. Don't they make refrigerators and microwaves? What would they want with a vapor carb patent? In July of 2010, Michigan International Raceway was host to the Progressive Automotive 100-mile-per-gallon equivalent X-Prize Fuel Economy Race. The goal was to dangle a $1 million carrot to lure geniuses from their basements and garages in the quest for a practical 100-mile-per-gallon vehicle. After numerous screenings, qualifiers circled the oval banks averaging 45 miles an hour. Though most of the race was straightaway, officials tossed in an orange cone slalom so handling would become a factor. Amongst the vehicles that placed, most were electric. None were based on production vehicles. The only gasoline engine winner was in the four-seater category. And it could be argued the X-Prize officials bent the rules a little just so they would have a winner for that slot. The Charles Pogue story stands out partly because it was the first super high-mileage carburetor at over 200 miles per gallon, partly because it performed so well, and partly because it was so well documented and substantiated. We don't have to take Pogue's word that his carburetor could deliver 200 plus miles per gallon. Ford Motor Company, Breen Motor Company, as well as independent researchers put their names on those claims. The Ogle story stands out for much the same reasons. He was awarded a patent on his technology. Experts put their names on his claims. Plus, the press covered a publicity trip from El Paso, Texas to Deming, New Mexico, and most of the way back on a mere 2 gallons of gas. The math worked out to about 104 miles per gallon. In addition to Pogue and Ogle, many other inventors are able to capture the attention of the press. In this July 1974 Mechanics Illustrated, Ted LePan claimed 60 to 100 miles per gallon from his carburetor, resembling a swamp cooler. In 1994, Idaho inventor Sonny Ward
broke some records, climbing mountains with the gizmo that shut down engine cylinders when not needed. He registered over 67 miles per gallon, driving his Honda from Rexburg to Jackson, Idaho on Friday, June 10, 1994. The Pogue and Ogle systems were never offered for sale. There were, however, a few fuel-sipping carbs that were mass-produced. One of the very first, released in the late 1950s, was the Fish carburetor. It incorporated a few unique design principles that consistently delivered a 50% improvement in fuel economy. Vacuum Carburetor Corporation marketed a carburetor that supposedly gave the engine only the fuel it needed. Rumor has it the Predator Carb, a variable Venturi carburetor similar to the 1980 Ford patent we just viewed, was originally created as a super fuel-efficient carburetor. Allegedly, after a phone call from some powerful entity wielding threats, the Predator Carb was redesigned to deliver physics-defying power, but gulp copious volumes of fuel in the process.